Newberry up and over the net. What a great move. She decides to stay, which is the right decision.
Devon Newberry will take that ball and send it to the sand. We're tied at 21.
High school beach All-American. Newberry splits it right down the middle. Alex with the block there. That ball's still alive and put away.
Devon Newberry, a very effective blocker, especially with all the work with Jose Loyola. She is confident at the net.
This is episode 81 of the Michael Maher Show. Got a great episode for you today. I'm joined by Devon Newberry, beach volleyball athlete at UCLA, all Pac-12 first team. And yeah, thank you for joining me. It's an honor to have you on.
Oh my God, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. I actually got a bunch of questions lined up, and I figured we'd start at the beginning of your volleyball career. Placed fourth at the 2018 Youth Olympic Games and placed fourth at the Beach Volleyball World Championships. Kind of tell us like what that was like and what it was like getting the chance to play in Argentina at the Youth Olympics.
Yeah, so it first started off, well, funny is my partner was Lindsay Sparks at the time, who was at UCLA with me now. So we ended up being partners again, which is great. But so we started off in Cuba and we got second in Cuba, which placed us into the World Championships and into the Youth Olympics. And so the World Championships was in China, and it was just, you're thrown into like a completely different environment. It was like 110 degrees every day. The sand was like 175 on the sand. And it was just the coolest experience I thought I would ever experience. It was just like, every athlete was from all over the country with a different backstory and different languages, but like you became so close. And then after we did the world champs in China, we went to Argentina for like 2 or 3 weeks. And that was unreal. It was set up exactly like an Olympics. So we each had our own village, and there was a whole dining hall and all these different little venues you could go to. And then the crowd there was amazing. We actually got the chance to play Argentina. And so I've never seen that many people at a beach volleyball event before. It was nuts. That's
sick. So how'd you get connected with Lindsay? Like, did you know her like through youth volleyball and everything like that? Or like, how'd that happen?
Yeah. So I've been playing, I was in the USA pipeline since I was like 14 years old, which is basically you're just part of the national team every summer. And then we kind of heard about each other through then, but one time her partner canceled out on her for a random tournament when I was 13 and she's a year older. So she was 14, and she just asked me to play in a tournament. And I was like, oh my gosh, like she was an idol on the beach. I mean, it was just like,
really?
When I got a DM. Yeah. She was known for like, she was just always a winner, and she always just made people a better player. So I was stoked when she DM'd me.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, we ended up playing in like a event that was supposed to be for people like 3 years older. And so we went on and played that event, and we got second. And then we decided to play in a couple AVPs over summer since it was going well. And we were the youngest team as a pair, like ages combined, to qualify for an AVP. So we kept qualifying over summer, and then, yeah, we ended up at UCLA together.
That's sick. So what was like Olympic Village like for you? Like, what are some things that kind of stand out from the whole village?
Yeah, it was like, gosh, it was like, became a routine. So me and Lindsay lived with, they had apartment buildings for everybody. So the Team USA building, you would get paired up with 2 girls from a different sport. And so we ended up being paired with wrestlers or boxers, and then got to know them, and you got to kind of like enjoy the camaraderie of like the Olympic sport and being part of Team USA. And then there was an opening ceremony, and that was just, you marched like all over Argentina. And then there was like a final like Olympic ring, like it was set up identical. And it just like, that was the reason, like I knew right then and there that I wanted to play beach volleyball for the rest of my life, just because I want to go to events like that as much as I can. Usually you would only play once a day, and it would alternate. So it was, you'd play one day, rest the next, play the next, which is kind of how the Olympics is set up for beach volleyball. So it was really nice because we got to give our bodies a break, but it ended up, beach volleyball was one of the only sports at the Olympic Games to start at the very first day and end on the last day. So you were playing the whole time. It was exhausting, but it was really nice to have like the day breaks and stuff.
Yeah. And that's cool that you guys are now teammates at UCLA.
Yeah, we actually were partners together my sophomore year of college, which was really cool. She just, she had a big knee injury this past season, so she wasn't able to compete. But yeah, we were partners, and it was so great to like reunite and be back.
So for people that don't know, like for beach volleyball, so you have one partner, and do you like stick with that one partner throughout the season, or do you kind of cycle depending on who your opponent is?
Yeah, so for college beach volleyball, you are paired up with one partner. It's kind of 50-50 with like your coaches putting you with the partner, but then you also have a lot of input, whether you guys are working well, will be good for the team. And so you're put with your partner. And if you guys are doing well, for the most part, everybody sticks with their partner throughout the season. But there's always some funky things with like injuries, or some people aren't meshing together the way we want them to, and then they get separated.
And you're from Santa Monica, California. So you're born and raised in California. Was playing at UCLA like always a dream of yours?
Yeah, I actually was a big indoor player when I was younger. So I knew right away that if I was going to play beach volleyball, it was only UCLA. But the choice for me was, do I want to only play beach, or do I want to go play indoor somewhere? So once it came down to the line, I knew I wanted to play at UCLA. I grew up going to all the games and like a huge fan of all the players. And so I knew it.
So you had offers for both indoor and beach?
Correct. Yeah.
So what was that process like kind of choosing like which one you wanted to do?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think with indoor, I knew that wasn't going to be like I knew if I chose to play indoor, I wasn't going to play indoor after college. I'm not tall enough, and I just didn't know where it would take me. But I knew that if I played beach, that I would have like a pretty good shot of going pro after. And playing in these international events, like just made it so clear to me, like this was my only choice. I think I got back from one of my trips my sophomore year, or we qualified in my sophomore year, which is when I committed to UCLA. And right after that, I was like, oh, I'm only doing beach. And then I called Stein up, and who's our coach. And I was just like, oh yeah, I'm coming.
Yeah. So you grew up like supporting UCLA. So you had already kind of been like familiar with the facilities and everything like that.
Yeah, kind of. I didn't get I knew like the Poly Pavilion, which is like our main, like where the indoor games, basketball games are played, but I'd never been like behind the scenes of like our training facilities or the beach courts. Like I just hadn't seen all that yet. So when I went on my tour there, it was just an extra perk.
Yeah. So since you've been there, like what are some of your favorite things about being an athlete at UCLA?
I think that the culture that like UCLA has developed over time is just like, it's not comparable to other schools. It's just if you're an athlete at UCLA, you know everybody, like you're close to everybody. The resources you have are unbelievable. I mean, they treat you like gold, but you're not only an athlete to them, they care about every sense of who you are as a person. Like there's always an on-call therapist if you ever need help. There's always like academic support. If you need support within like for your body or nutrition, like there is just anything you could think of like you need help with, there's always something that they've thought of and they're putting through for you.
Played volleyball for Marymount High School and USA Beach National Team.
Yeah.
Recorded over 1,000 kills throughout your career in indoor for your high school. Like what age did volleyball become like a big staple of your life?
Yeah, I think it started when I was like, I first started playing indoor volleyball when I was 9 and 10. And then I kind of picked up on that I was pretty good at it. Like coaches, I remember when I was 10 and I remember my head coach being like, oh my gosh, like the 12s team was walking in. They were like, oh my gosh, you got to watch this girl. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I was playing soccer at the time. And I didn't feel the connection that I felt with volleyball that I did with soccer. So I kind of knew at one point I was just going to have to pick one and go with it. And so I picked volleyball, and it was just the best decision. I mean, I'm such a people person and I love to connect with people. And so when you're kind of like thrown into when you pick one world, when I just picked volleyball, it's like the whole community kind of like loved up on me just because I was finally like embracing it. And like, I just love the culture volleyball has.
Yeah. And I heard you or read you also played for the LA Beach Club team. Do you literally play like there's people tanning and people swimming and stuff, and the court is just like on the sand right there?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like you'll see beach training nowadays, and it's like, I just had a training the other day in Hermosa, and it was like, it's like 12 to 2 o'clock, and it's like Saturday, and everyone else is outside like tanning and eating food and like hanging out. But like you look over and there's girls just killing themselves on the beach court just to try and get like that 1% better.
Yeah. So you have a lot of people that I guess are like walking by and just like stop and end up watching the game.
Yeah, a lot of the time we actually, a group of us went out to play at the Jonathan Club, which is just like a local beach club around here. And the entire time it was Labor Day weekend or Memorial Day weekend. So everyone was just sitting there, just like watching, went up to us after with like tons of questions and just like praising. It was really cool.
Yeah. What would you say is your favorite beach to play on in California?
I would say Manhattan Beach. I have a lot of good memories there. And I feel like that's where I trained for my whole USA before I was going to all my trips. And it's just, that place has a lot of good memories for me. And it's just like, it's gorgeous, deep sand too. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. What's like the best crowd you would say you've played in front of?
Yeah, I'd say that Argentina crowd. There's two crowds, I would say. The Argentina crowd, because even though they were rooting against us, it was like you could feel like the energy, and it was so worth it just to see everyone like come out and support their country and their home team.
Mm-hmm.
There was like, I want to say 6,000 or 7,000 people in the stands. And then I played in one of the AVPs. I played against one of the home teams, or like a higher ranked team than me. So they were supposed to win, and it was a really, really close match. And so it was all kind of coming down to the nitty gritty, and like everyone was circled around our court. And that was really cool, just because like everyone's cheering for everyone. They're just cheering for good volleyball. So, and being so young playing against older women, it's a cool experience to have.
Yeah, I know like you're dialed in when you're playing, but can you kind of like differentiate the crowds from like an international crowd? I guess like feistiness, or I guess you could say, or whatever, or just like, a bunch of random people watching in LA. Like, do you kind of notice that?
Yeah, totally. I mean, you can see like the difference between, there's some competitions even in the United States where it'll be like you have a rowdier crowd. Maybe you're playing against opponents who have rowdier fans, and like you'll get chirped at like no tomorrow.
Dang.
But with the international crowd, that's what was interesting. I think that's why it didn't hurt that they were cheering against me, is they were just cheering for good volleyball. And like when their team would do good, they would cheer. It wasn't like anything like offensive or rude towards us. It was just like cheering for good stuff.
And at UCLA, like when you're not playing volleyball, like what are some things you like to do, I guess, like, or like events you like to go to, or other sports you support and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm obsessed with our men's and women's volleyball team. So I try and get it out a lot. And I've recently found a really like a new obsession with our baseball team and our softball team. They just finished their like World Series tournaments, and they are just so fun to watch. And especially the softball team. I mean, they're such a huge program, and you don't see a lot of women's sports getting like that much fans and coverage. And so it's really exciting to watch women go on the court and just like represent us all. I've done the whole like LA lifestyle of just like dinner places and going out and stuff like that. And that was really fun. But now that I'm in college, I feel like I'm getting more of the college experience by staying in Westwood.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it here.
Nice. And I just visited LA for the first time like 2 summers ago. I absolutely loved it. And I would say like the food was like some of the best parts. So what's a few underground restaurants that you would say are like fire?
I would say, well, if you haven't been to Fat Sal's in Westwood, that's really underrated. I mean, every person who goes to UCLA has it, but nobody else really knows about it. It's like this sandwich place, and it puts the craziest things on your sandwich. It's like mozzarella sticks, fried chicken, like French fries, like everything you could think of, they have it. And that place is really, really good.
Nice. And a lot of my audience is from the East Coast because I'm on the East Coast.
Yeah.
I got to ask, for someone who's lived in California their entire life, what do you rate In-N-Out?
I just had this conversation this morning with someone who doesn't live here, actually. We weirdly never have In-N-Out, even though it's 5 minutes away from me. And I think it's because it's 5 minutes away. But when I'm coming back from a trip, I rate it a 10 out of 10. But when it's just a random Tuesday night, I would give it like a 7.
Okay. So do you see like when people, I guess, like on your team or just visitors or anything like that, do you have them try In-N-Out? Are you like, hey, like you got to try it if you're going to come to the West Coast?
Yeah, I tell anybody who hasn't had it, I try to tell them, because your first time having In-N-Out is just spectacular and you'll never get sick of it for a little bit. And then once you're kind of used to it, like it kind of goes away. And then then it just becomes a normal burger. But for your first couple times, it's going to be one of the best things you've ever had.
Yeah, that was, I think, like the first thing I did as soon as I landed in LA. I got an Uber and went to like the nearest In-N-Out.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I kind of liked it. I mean, I think like, have you ever had Five Guys or anything like that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd put it up there with Five Guys, I'd say.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I love their sauce. Their animal sauce is like crazy.
Yeah, you got to get it with like the
Yeah.
animal style if you're going to do it. If you're going to do it, you might as well do it.
Yeah.
All right. Another question that I have, and this is kind of a random one, but since you play on the California beaches all the time and you're from Santa Monica, like the pier is not too far away, do you have any stories of like cool street performers or anything like that? People that you've seen, like super talented people? Because that was one thing that I noticed when I was walking the pier. There was just so many like talented people out there, like doing their thing.
Oh, yeah. We used to practice right near the pier on Santa Monica or Ocean Park over season when our courts were being built. And there's just like, well, what I like best about that environment isn't even about the street performers. It's about what everyone's doing on the beach. You'll see like groups of like 20 people, and some people are training and they're doing this weird, like, they're tugging these machines across the entire beach, and you'll watch them do that. But then you look like 5 feet away and there's another like 20 people who are having like a family reunion who hasn't seen each other in a while. So it's a cool environment. And then there's also another underground place is there's like a taco little stand on like two streets over from Santa Monica. And it is the best underrated taco place ever. And they're like $1 each. And we used to go there for every practice. Yeah. Oh, somebody did just walk up. We were outside of breakfast the other day, and somebody ran up just like begging, like usually like you'll see a lot of people just like asking for money or asking something for change, fair change. But he wanted a MacBook and a TV. Okay. And so he sat there like negotiating with us. Oh yeah. He was like, he had a full like presentation ready of like why we should buy him a MacBook and a TV. And it was a pretty good presentation. I didn't have enough money on me, but it was a good one.
What was he saying?
He was just like running through his reasonings of why he needs a MacBook and like how he wants to start this, like he wants to start a business and how he's going to do it with the MacBook. And then he also needs the TV to stay up with current events and like stuff like that.
Okay. Do you also notice like a whole lot of, I guess you could say like influencers or entertainers, like kids running around the beaches and just LA in general, like trying to.
Yeah. I was at dinner last Monday night and I saw like Bryce Hall and all those like TikTokers just like sitting next to us at dinner.
Yeah. I guess you're used to it at this point though.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Now back to volleyball. Like, what would you say the next 5 years look like for you? Like, do you want to keep playing volleyball after school, like go international, or what are you thinking?
So on actually next Wednesday, I'm getting surgery on my shoulder. And so after surgery, I'll be out for like a six month period. So I'll get back for the rest of the season. And then I actually have an extra year because of COVID. So I'll be here for 2 more years, even though I'm a junior. And then after season, I'm going to give myself like 2 years to see if I can progress and continue playing at the level that I want to play at. And after 2 years, if it doesn't work out, I probably will stop. But if I'm doing well, which I'm really hoping I will, but if it goes as well as I think it should, then I could see myself in 5 years just continuing to play on the pro volleyball team. And I really want to do the USA national team and then hopefully the Olympics.
Nice. And I saw that you're a 4-time like all academic team. Is there like any like other passions that you have, like other careers that like, you know, like way down the line, like when you're completed playing volleyball that you'd like potentially like to get into?
Yeah, absolutely. For a while, I wanted to be a nurse, and that was in my first 2 years of college. So I was a physiological science major. And then with my schedule, I just was not able to keep up with the classes because we were traveling all the time and my exams were in person and you can't make a lot of time for it. So I kind of just decided to not do that major anymore. And I've always wanted to teach. So I'm really hoping that I can at some point be a 2nd grade teacher once volleyball's over. That's just what I've always wanted to do.
So you got like 2nd grade for a reason?
Yeah, I've run through like every single grade in my head of like what it would work and what not. And I think 2nd grade is just perfect fit for me.
I mean, I'd say like, yeah, because like once you get to like middle school, then they start like, you know, getting like, I don't know, they can get kind of aggressive. Then once you get to high school, there's just so many kids that just don't care.
Totally. And I think that I like love little kids. And so I was always between like kindergarten, 1st grade or 2nd grade. And I don't want to teach kindergartners like words. I never was interested in that. And then 1st grade's like, still learning a lot of the language, but by second grade, you've picked up a fair amount. And I didn't want to do third grade because it's like multiplication and fractions, and that's hard to teach. So
Yeah.
I've got it all figured out.
So like in a perfect world, would you like to be a teacher in California, or would you like to go across the country, or like where would you like to do it?
Yeah, I don't want to live in California after I'm done with college or after I'm done with my beach career, just because I've lived here my whole life. So I want to give myself like a 2-year span of just like going somewhere crazy in the United States and just adjusting to it.
Yeah. Do you travel a lot? Like not like outside of volleyball? Like do you travel?
Yeah, I mean, when I can, I do, but a lot of my traveling is volleyball. We travel like maybe like 10 times a year for volleyball.
Yeah. So like what are some places you think you'd like to live in after your career?
Yeah, I just went to New York over Christmas break, and that was like an amazing place, but I think it's a little too crowded for me. So
Yeah.
my sister lives in Chicago, and I visited her there, and I loved Chicago.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to Chicago for the first time in October.
You'll
So
see, it's like an underscaled New York.
yeah. Okay.
Really
Yeah.
cool.
That's what I've heard. I mean, I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
But hey, thank you very much for doing this podcast. I
Oh my God,
appreciate
of course.
appreciate you coming on. And
Yeah.
everyone scroll down below, follow Devon on social media, Instagram at Dev Newberry. I'll have a link below in the description. Any other like websites or things you'd like to shout out?
No, that's really it. Just my Instagram.
Cool. Well, yeah, like I said, thank you very much for joining me. Today was Wednesday, June 8th, 2022, episode 81 of the Michael Maher Show. I was joined by Devon Newberry, beach volleyball athlete at UCLA, first team all Pac-12. And I'm your host of the show, Michael Maher, and I'll see everyone next week.